Hi everybody, welcome to Leaving Bulimia Behind Part 4, and this one is tips and tricks that might be helpful, and this is taken a lot from my own experience of leaving bulimia behind and coping with life after that, because it's not always a smooth road. So when you have something like CBT to help you conquer bulimia, leave it behind, there's often a concept of eating normally, and in some of the books I've read, that concept is 3 meals a day, normal meals, so not kind of tiny meals and not massive meals, just normal, whatever that means, meals. And so that's the ideal that you get to, and you kind of keep food diaries and things like that to try and monitor what food you're actually having. Now, I have to admit right now, I didn't do this when I decided not to binge eat and vomit. I didn't do that at all. So this might be the advice that's only useful for me, but I'm sharing it because it might be useful for some other people. I mean, the fact is that the thing that caused you that influenced you to become bulimic is quite likely a fear of becoming very, very overweight and a fear of putting weight on. And when I did this deal with myself that I would no longer do the binging and vomiting, I also said to myself, well, I'm not going to diet. I'm not going to try to be as thin as I would like to be. However, I was scared in case I became, very, very overweight. And so there were certain things I did, and I still do. And it's probably some of it a hangover from the bulimia, and ways of thinking. But there's some little tricks and things that have helped me. And so that's what today's episode is about. Now, one of the things that I do is I don't eat 3 kind of square meals a day. I have a fairly small breakfast, either toast or yogurt. Then for lunch, it's probably fruit or a cup of soup. And then in the evenings, a main meal. And then that's when all the, pudding or chocolate or whatever and glass of wine, everything comes in. So that's not necessarily the best pattern, but that's the pattern a lot of us are in. And it's the one that I've adapted over the years. Now, I've had several kind of principles that I've used over the years, and the first one is try as a positive to eat healthily. So instead of saying, I'm not going to eat this, this and this, say, I am going to have 5 portions of fruit and veg a day. And that's all I'm going to try and do. And you often find if you try and do that you're not thinking so much about the things that maybe aren't quite so healthy. It's not to say that you shouldn't have them, because point 2 is, and there's all the C's here, never see chocolates, cake, chips, cream and cheese and desserts, that's the only one that's not beginning with a C, as forbidden. So you have those whenever you want them, really. You have them. It's important not to feel that they're forbidden, because if they are, then you start to obsess about them again. And I've always had these foods since I left bulimia behind, and they're part of my life. I wouldn't say part of my diet, because my diet isn't, it's kind of, it changes over days and weeks. A trick I have in terms of things like chocolate or cake, like if somebody's brought round a cake or a lovely sweet or something like that, what I might do is serve out a slice for myself on a small plate. If there's anyone else around, another slice for them or whatever, and then put the cake away before I start eating it, so that if I want another slice, I'm going to have to get up, go and get it out the fridge, open up the container, blah, blah, blah. I found that laziness is a great ally in avoiding binge eating, and I've used that to quite an extent as a strategy. So again, with chocolates, I don't sit with a box of chocolates beside me and just, what I'll try and do is take 4. I usually think that, well, 4 is a reasonable portion of chocolates, and I might put them in a little bowl or on a plate, and then I'll put the chocolates away, and then I'll sit and I'll eat my chocolates over the evening when I feel like it, but I won't go and get any more. And again, that kind of keeps the temptation out of the way, really. And it's not temptation about chocolates as such. It's the temptation to eat so many of them that it's not good for you. And you know, I'll say there've been days when I've eaten more than 4 chocolates, but I know that I'm not going to vomit them up. So, you know, I mean, you tend to get a bit sick of chocolates after 5 or 6 of them. You know, there was a story that in the Cadbury factory, the chocolate factory, they used to allow employees to eat whatever they wanted. And for the first month that people were employed, they used to eat a massive amount of chocolate, and that put them off it so much that they never touched it again. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think if you know that you can, you obsess about it less than if you think, oh, I can't. Right. If the evening, as it is with me, is the time when you tend to eat the most, and it's like, you know, the nice sweet things or the extra glass of wine or whatever, one trick which I've used sometimes is when I finish my meal and had what I think is a reasonable amount, maybe my 4 chocolates or whatever, I'll then go up to the bathroom, and no, I'm not going to make myself sick. What I'll do is I'll brush my teeth and floss and do it really, really carefully, you know, the way the dentists are always nagging you to do. And then I come down again. And again, laziness is the ally. I'm kind of thinking, if somebody kind of says, shall we have another chocolate? I'm thinking, oh, I can't be asked to go and do my teeth all over again. So I'll say, oh, you have one, I'm not bothered. So that's another little tip. Never feel that you have to finish a plate of food. This was something in my childhood. I think it was the case in the 1950s and 60s, that you should finish your food. Well, I think that if you're trying to eat normally and eat what your body needs, then there are going to be times when there's too much on your plate. You've given yourself too much, or you're at somebody's house and they've given you too much, and you just can't eat it all. If it's at somebody else's house, I still don't eat it all if it's too much for me. I will just say, that was really delicious. I really, really loved it, but I'm feeling really full now and I just can't take any more. And I think one should look after oneself in the way of not feeling obliged to eat everything on one's plate. And certainly, I'm a terrible hostess, really, because I'll serve people out and I'll say, oh, if it's too much, just leave it. And I don't offer seconds often. I forget about that. So people tend to kind of think that I'm not really wanting them to eat very much of my food. It's not that. I just want to be sensitive to people who don't want to eat more than they feel comfortable with. And of course, if you feel comfortable with it, then that's absolutely fine. Now this one is particularly controversial. I weigh myself every morning, and all the books say that you shouldn't, that you should maybe weigh yourself once a week or once a month, or not at all. That it's because it's being obsessed with weight. I find it useful because I don't want to diet. I don't want to get into that cycle again. So if I notice that I've put a pound or two on, the next couple of days, no more than that, I'll kind of maybe have just yogurt instead of toast, or with pasta, with spaghetti bolognese sauce, I'll have salad or kind of finely shredded cabbage, just to take the place of the carbs. That's just to kind of bring it down just a little bit. But I don't go on diets. I don't go on diets, and I don't kind of say, right, I'm going to have a blowout this weekend and then I'm going to diet. I use that as a kind of, it's just like a warning signal. Oh, right, well, maybe it's time to just pull back a little bit. But when I'm pulling back, if someone comes in with a box of chocolates and says, here, I'm going to have a chocolate, I'm going to have a couple of chocolates, because it's not dieting, it's just kind of eating slightly less for a couple of days, just to kind of bring yourself back into balance. That's how I manage it. Lots of people might not agree with that, but that's just how I do it. But generally, I don't wake up each day with a plan that I've got to follow. So, I might think, well, today I'll kind of go a bit easy on the carbs. But as I say, if something turns up that is delicious, I'm not going to not have it, because I'm not going to kind of put myself into that fence where I say that is not allowed. Right. So with general things like things that are not allowed, there's nothing that's not allowed. But one thing I do is if a food is something that I'm not that bothered about, I think, well, don't bother with it. Like, for instance, rice, plain boiled rice. I don't dislike rice, it's quite nice, but equally, it's not going to spoil my evening if I don't have rice. So if I'm having curry, I won't have rice. But on the other hand, I will have a lovely, fluffy, soft naan bread, because I love those and I wouldn't want to give them up. So it's about, if you have a bag of crisps every day and you just barely notice yourself eating them, then it might be worth not eating them. But if you really like them, then eat them, because it's about eating the food that you like, if you see what I mean, and not feeling that just because you like something that's quite high in fat or calories or whatever, that therefore it's kind of, no, you can't have it. And another tip about the evening eating is, if you can, remove yourself from proximity to the food after you've eaten. So like, if you can move into the front room away from the kitchen, do so. Again, it's the ally of laziness that's stopping me from going back and ferreting around for food. I mean, sometimes I go up to bed and watch TV upstairs, because then again, it's just kind of just inconvenient to go and get another snack or whatever. So these are just a few of my practical tips, and I hope that some of them might be useful. Tomorrow, on the last section of these talks, I'm going to look at the future, about living as somebody who's left bulimia behind, and the hope that is there, that life is wonderful and it can be wonderful, and you don't have to suffer with bulimia for all of your life. Okay, bye-bye for now, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.